Hello and welcome to the last of the big 3 OG Kanto starter runs. I've saved what many people consider to be the best starter for last, and it's easy to see why this is. Bulbasaur has type advantage over the first 2 gyms, resists the 3rd, double resists the 4th, and even though the 5th resists Bulbasaur, it still is only neutral offensively. The Kanto starters are often considered a difficulty selector, Charmander being hard, Squirtle medium, and Bulbasaur easy. Let's see how this theory holds up. Bulbasaur actually isn't as efficient at dispatching Brock as Squirtle was. While Bulbasaur does get its first Grass-type move a level earlier than Squirtle got its Water move, Squirtle got Bubble, an actual offensive move, and Bulbasaur gets Leech Seed, which is a good move in its own right, but it's more of a slow burn, so it takes a lot longer to get through this fight. That doesn't mean it's difficult though. I leveled up to 10 in Viridian Forest, set up Leech Seed on Geodude, and we spam Growl and Tackle. Then we rinse and repeat against Onix, just making sure I'm using Growl when it goes for Bide. For anyone unfamiliar with what Bide does, the Pokemon that uses it won't attack for 2 to 3 turns, then it'll deal double the damage it took during those turns. We've made our way through Mount Moon, and I'm feeling pretty good now that we're rocking with Ivysaur, so let's head straight to Misty. Staryu outspeeds, and we whiff on the first Vine Whip. Misty uses X Defend, but that actually won't help her against us, I'll explain why in a moment. Staryu drops, and now we see Starmie. Its tackle crits, but we're still okay health-wise, and we land Leech Seed. A crit Vine Whip helps a lot. Then it's just trading back and forth, and we come out on top. Now, why doesn't X Defend help against our Vine Whip? It only makes sense that increased defense would reduce the damage of a move that smacks with a vine. Well, in the first 3 generations, whether a move is physical or special is determined by its type, and grass moves fall under special, and Misty's X Defends increase physical defense, and therefore are useless against Ivysaur. After cruising through the Nugget Bridge in the SSN, we arrive at Surge at level 27. Voltorb and Pikachu go down without much resistance. I go for the Leech Seed Poison Powder combo on Raichu to double up on the passive damage. It ends up working out eventually, but because of the initial Leech Seed miss, it takes kind of a while, and I'm wondering if I wouldn't have been better off just spamming Vine Whip or Body Slam. Not the cleanest of wins, but that's 3 gym leaders and 3 first attempt victories. And now we take on Erica. After Rock Tunnel and getting to Celadon, we've upgraded pretty substantially. We've not only leveled up a few times, Ivysaur has evolved to Venusaur, and we have a move that's going to carry us through the rest of the mid-game, Razor Leaf. Victory Bell sees we're grass type, so it uses its poison type move. Unfortunately for it, it is 1, only poison powder, and 2, Venusaur's secondary typing is poison, so it can't be poisoned. Tangela can't really do anything, and Vileplume also falls into the poison powder trap. On to the next one. Koga is the first gym leader we face that, based on typing, we have a disadvantage to. We come into this fight at level 40 and not quite 100% health. Coughing sticks around a little longer than I anticipated him to, and ends up doing a good chunk of damage to us. Body Slam paralyzes Muck, and we get the full paralysis to get past it, taking no damage. And again, Coughing chunks us with a couple of sludges, and we're not looking good going into Wheezing. Wheezing could put us out of our misery right away with Self-Destruct, but instead decides to go the death by 1,000 cuts route and smog us all the way down. This marks our first loss to a gym leader this run. This time, Coughing whiffs on 2 smogs, and we're on to Muck at full health. It hits us with the sludge, but then it X attacks, which is bad since it's going to be a 4-shot. But then it X attacks again, which is good since it's going to be a 4-shot. And apparently the Coughings felt bad about being mean to us in the last attempt, because this time neither of them damage us at all. Body Slam paralysis on Wheezing, but it gets an incredibly unclutch crit. But when it has us in its crosshairs, paralysis prevents it from pulling the trigger, and we just squeak out a win. After Sylph Company, we head to fight Sabrina. We deleted Poison Powder for growth, which will be an important move for us going forward, but not in this fight. Sabrina's Pokemon all have high special and low defense, so I'm thinking it's going to make more sense to simply spam Body Slam and hope for the best. We cut right through her team to Alakazam, who does big damage to us with Psychic, but Body Slam paralyzes, which means we now outspeed and knock it out. After a small hiccup with Koga, we're back to first trying gym leaders. Now Blaine presents us with an obvious problem, being Fire to our grass. We could set up Growths against Growlithe to help us tank some attacks, but the longer we take doing that, the more likely we are to get burned, which not only deals a set amount of damage every turn, but it greatly reduces our attack, and Body Slam is what we're going to be using in this fight. Growlithe and Ponyta go down without too much of a problem. Rapidash takes an additional attack to finish off because Blaine loves to use Super Potions. Arcanine will be a problem, It has really high stats as well as Fire Blast. We go back and forth with Body Slams and Super Potions. We do paralyze it and pop a Leech Seed, but then it immediately lands a crit Fire Blast and puts us in the dirt. Our next attempt at Blaine starts a lot rougher than the last. We get by Growlithe fine, but Ponyta hits us with Fire Spin, and that prevents us from attacking until it runs its course. In our second fight with Rapidash, it also lands a Fire Spin, and that takes us down to 63 health heading into Arcanine, and now even a non-crit Fire Blast is going to take us out. But in a series of fortunate events, we paralyze with Body Slam, get the full paralysis, a Body Slam crit, and instead of Fire Blast, Arcanine goes for Ember, and we take it out, and now we're on to Giovanni. The 8th gym is a nice little cooldown for the gym challenge after 3 gyms that did give us some headaches. We're back to having type advantage, and we can just spam Razor Leaf and cruise to an easy win, and we're ready for the final portion of the game. As we make our way to Victory Road, we run into the rival for the final time before the penultimate fight of the game, and we get a glimpse at what his championship team will look like. Pidgeot likes to use agility in this fight, which is fine. We take a wing attack, and it looks like we're about a level away from turning this fight into a 3-shot, but we'll have to settle for 4. Rhyhorn presents no challenge, and a crit turns Execute into a 2-shot. We paralyze Gyarados with Body Slam, but I decide the best bet is probably Razor Leaf. We're on to Alakazam with decent health, but it outspeeds, and with the super effective Psybeam does good damage. We would need a crit here, but Alakazam is the one who ends up getting it, and we're gonna need a new plan of attack. After heading to Silphco to grab a TM, we're back with 2 new moves, Mega Drain and Swords Dance. Pidgeot again wants to beef up its speed, and we get good damage ranges, and that turns Pidgeot into a 3-shot. Rhyhorn can't do anything to us, so this is an opportune time to set up our growths and Swords Dances. We max out our special and our attack, and now it's Sweep City. Boom. Boom. Boom.
Silent and profiling.
Boom. Boo. Bad time for a crit, but our max special means Flamethrower does nothing, and there's the boom. This fight goes to show how key setting up those stat buffing moves is. Without them, we couldn't even get past Alakazam, and with them, the fight was kind of just a formality. I think it's obvious why I taught these moves, but I'll elaborate anyway, just because I like to talk about it. Leech Seed was simply too slow for this point in the game. Now we need to be taking down threats quick, otherwise they'll take us down quick, and Mega Drain will heal us more than that would anyway. We're also going to rely heavily on Body Slam, and 3 Swords Dances sends its damage through the roof. Getting rid of Razor Leaf might seem odd, however, since it's a stab move and it's also a guaranteed crit, meaning with how Gen 1 calculates critical hits, it's something like 150-ish base power, I think, which is super powerful. However, since it always crits, it doesn't receive any of the benefit from growth. And with those increases, Mega Drain will do substantially more than it, and Mega Drain is also going to heal a lot of the damage it might have taken while setting up the growths. This is our first attempt at Lorelei, and I think Venusaur has a shot at being the only starter of the 3 to be able to get by her without needing to be beefed up with rare candies. I'm going to set up growths against Dugong, and that could be kind of dangerous since it does no Aurora Beam, and an ill-timed crit can take us out before we even get going. We get growth set up, and I decide not to risk setting up a Swords Dance and use Mega Drain, which not only one-shots, but takes us to almost full health. We one-shot the Cloyster as well, despite getting a critical hit. Slowbro has pretty good special, but even it can't take a Mega Drain. I use Body Slam on Jynx since Mega Drain isn't super effective, but looking back I probably just should have stuck with it. We avoid getting frozen by Ice Punch, and against Lapras we're back to Mega Drain, and even Lapras can't tank one attack from us, and that means Venusaur is indeed the only starter that was able to get by Lorelei without the use of rare candies. Against Bruno, Onix is an ideal Pokemon to set up against because it not only has pitiful stats, but an embarrassingly bad moveset. We're able to get all 6 growths and all 3 Swords Dances and devastate Bruno's entire team. As per usual, there isn't much to say about Bruno. He's kind of incapable of doing anything to anybody. Now, Agatha has only ever been marginally better than Bruno, and I mean marginally, but like how Venusaur was uniquely effective against Lorelei, it's going to be uniquely ineffective against Agatha. We use an elixir here, and right away you're going to see the problem. Gengar is a difficult Pokemon to set up against with its affinity for using Hypnosis and Confuse Ray. Nightshade does pretty good chunks to us, and this fight is clearly not going to be as brain dead as it has been in the past. I tried a couple of other times thinking maybe I could get lucky against the Gengar since it attacks randomly, but it just wasn't going to happen. So I decide after the Bruno fight is as good a time as any to pop our rare candies, of which we have 7. And I'll normally end up grabbing 8 or 9 as I go through, but I just missed a couple this time. Now we go into Agatha with a game-changing move that is Sleep Powder. Swords Dance served us well, but growth is going to be more vital for us. Sleep Powder is a great move, being the most accurate sleep move in the game outside of Spore, which only the shockingly bad Paris line can learn.
Paris?
Sleep is also totally broken in Gen 1, since it takes a full turn to wake up, so if you outspeed and actually land your sleep-inducing move, you can keep a Pokemon asleep perpetually. With this method, we're able to get all of our growth set up and beat Gengar without taking any damage. Agatha then sends out Golbat, then immediately swaps into Haunter, and then again swaps right back to Golbat. So we take out Golbat and get a shot in on Haunter all for free. Agatha's AI is truly something special. We get through Haunter and Arbok easily, and the second Gengar is actually a lot less of a threat than the first, as 1, it doesn't know Confuse Ray, and 2, you'll see it knows and uses Dream Eater even though it doesn't know Hypnosis, so Dream Eater is just a completely dead move for it. I don't know why they didn't just keep the movesets the same, but oh well, I'll take it. And I'm kicking myself making this video because I completely misplay all of my Lance fights. You see my attempt to set up growth against Gyarados, which I can't believe I do, because if I just spam Body Slam, I'm probably going to be able to knock it out, and then I'd be able to set up completely for free against Dragonair because it knows Agility, a psychic move, and since I am a poison type in addition to the grass type, Lance will always use the quote-unquote super effective move if it has one. For some reason, I'm brain farting left and right against Lance because this time I forget to use Full Restore right before the fight and go in at about 3/4 health. I get hit by Hyper Beam but land the second Sleep Powder, and Gyarados stays asleep long enough for me to set up all 6 growths, and then when it does wake up, we get a big time Sleep Powder hit, and after the Mega Drain, we're on to Dragonair at full health. We're gonna just Body Slam through them, and you see they're just spamming Agility. Aerodactyl gets one of its trademark crit Hyper Beams, but we survive. We put it to sleep just in case, but 1 Mega Drain is all it takes, and out comes the Dragonite. This is another misplay as I'm putting Dragonite to sleep, but don't really need to since, like Dragonair, it knows Agility, but also this Dragonite knows Barrier, another psychic move, and it's a move that it really shouldn't know since it actually isn't in its learn set via level up or TM. Game Freak just really wanted this one to know it for some reason. Now it's champion time, and once again I have ran into a self-imposed roadblock. I must have been autopiloting through this run because not only did I miss rare candies that I usually get, I missed ethers and elixirs that I usually get, and now we're left with no Body Slam power points in a fight where I desperately need them. We're able to limp past Pidgeot and Alakazam, but we have literally no way to damage Rhydon, and yeah. On a positive note, now the Elite Four is all pretty consistent, so after grabbing a couple of elixirs, I'm able to make my way back to the champion with relative ease. We're gonna set up against Pidgeot, which can be a bit dangerous with it knowing Sky Attack and Sleep Powder being plenty capable of missing, but we don't have any issues this time, and now out comes Alakazam. Body Slam does decent damage. I finish it with Mega Drain because it's safely in KO range, and I want as much health as possible for the rest of the fight. Of course, Rhydon immediately comes out, which would have topped off my health anyway, but oh well. We get a couple of huge crits on Exeggutor, turning what would have been a 5-shot into a 3. Versus Gyarados, we get back-to-back crits, and in the case of growth-boosted Mega Drain, that is very bad. Fortunately, its Hyper Beam doesn't crit against us. We're through to Charizard, but I'm not very happy with the amount of health I have. We miss the Sleep Powder, then it misses the Fire Spin, and then we land a Sleep Powder. It stays asleep, and that's all she wrote. We level up to 63 after Charizard, but we were 62 during the actual fight, so while we don't go into the Hall of Fame at 62, I'm gonna call it 62, okay? This is 2 levels lower than Blastoise and 10 levels lower than Charizard. Some moments, particularly in the Elite Four, felt rough, but that was really due to my own poor play, which I'm not gonna hold against it. But I think Venusaur excels in Kanto. It doesn't have the speed of Charizard or the move pool of Blastoise, but the grass poison typing is what makes this starter shine even in situations where maybe it shouldn't. Another thing going in Venusaur's favor was its stat boosting moves, mainly growth. While I wasn't purposely abusing the badge boost glitch with growth since I was primarily wanting to boost my special stat, still, every time we used it, all of our stats, except for HP, got a 12.5% boost, and you may have noticed that against Agatha when Body Slam was nearly one-shotting Pokemon like Golbat. Now we've finished the 3 starters, and I'm going to do a quick ranking of them and give a small explanation. At the end of the Blastoise video, I mistakenly preemptively ranked it at 3 when I meant to call it 1, and after playing Venusaur, I'm going to keep Charizard and Blastoise at 3 and 1 respectively, and give Venusaur 2. I know, it might be a controversial decision to some, because like I said at the start of the video, Bulbasaur is usually considered the easy mode starter, and yes, Venusaur finished the game at a lower level than Blastoise did, but I've said before, I'm not trying to see what the absolute minimum level it is possible to beat the game with. This isn't supposed to be scientific, it's largely vibes based, and based off of said vibes, I'm putting Blastoise at the top, because throughout the whole game, it felt like we always had an answer for whatever the game threw at us, because we were always learning important moves right in the nick of time, and that made not just progressing through the Elite Four feel good, but literally from the first gym through the whole game. Thanks for watching the Kanto Starter series. These are the first YouTube videos of any kind that I've ever made, and I've really had fun learning how to record and edit them, and I'm really excited to dive into Johto, as that is a region that is near and dear to my heart. We'll see you then.